Joe Craig, Interim Director of the UCCS Economic Forum, and welcome to the Weekly Snapshot. Today I'm here with Matt Hanson. Matt, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, Joe, appreciate it. And I'm glad to be on your little program here. I'm Matthew Hanson. I'm the market president for Alpine Bank. We just started the bank here in Colorado Springs, or at least as an extension from the rest of our bank last October. So great to join you, Joe.
Thanks for being here. So I'm becoming more interested in how leaders and executives end up where they do. Specifically, how it's more of a meandering path than a direct one. You mentioned to me the last time we talked that you never set out to become a banker. Can you share how you ended up where you are today?
Yeah, no, I have I think a fun story about how I got where I am today. So I started with a degree in psychology from the University of New Mexico, which on days like today feels apropos. And got out of school, was looking to go to med school, was waitlisted at a few different colleges. And while I was waitlisted, I met an amazing woman who's now my wife for 15 years. I started managing some golf courses, helped out with 2 here in Colorado Springs, and moved into the mountains to manage 2 other ones. While I was at the second one, I met a banker with Alpine Bank, and he had told me, hey, if you're ever looking for a career change, think about banking, and Alpine Bank's a great place to go. And, at the time, I was living the good life on the golfing side of things, but we had just had our first child. And since I didn't want to spend 24 hours a day at a golf course, we looked to make a change. And that was almost 12 years ago. I got an opportunity to get into Alpine Bank. I started at the lowest level, learning everything I could about banking. No finance background, no economic background, much like you. So I had a pretty steep learning curve to get to where I'm at, but I had a lot of great people supporting me all along the way, helping me with my education, took advantage of the opportunities that were presented to me. And when we had the opportunity to bring Alpine Bank down to Colorado Springs, they had tasked me for it, and I was certainly excited to be able to come back to the community that I called home for a large part of my life.
That's amazing. And I was at your grand opening. So first of all, the food was fantastic. Thank you for that. But you talked a lot there about community. So what makes a bank a part of the community, in your opinion?
Yeah, so community is one of our core values, and it's the one I think I get most excited to talk about. And I think you probably heard some of that night. From a banking perspective, I think the obvious way that we're a part of a community, or what community means, is certainly being that institution to help provide access to capital to small and medium-sized businesses, to help people get going on dreams of owning and managing their own business. It could also be helping people realize the dream of home ownership, or helping a construction loan get off the ground so people have a new home to live in. I think it's also about providing a safe and secure place for people to deposit their money. That's kind of the boilerplate book answer to that question. I think for me, what community really means is coming in and being involved with the nonprofit scenes, getting to know business owners down here, finding out what makes people tick and what makes this community what it is. We have great pride in giving a lot of money back to the communities that we serve in, and Colorado Springs will be no different than that. And I'm very excited to find ways to interact with all ranges of nonprofits that are down here, not just monetarily, which I think is really important, but also in how we spend our time. So when I think of community, it's how do I get engaged in that community and show that we're not just another business coming to town. We're here with our time, money, and resources, and want to make Colorado Springs, both from a banking perspective, but also on the people perspective, a better place because of our presence.
I love that answer. So a current hot topic outside of course, Silicon Valley Bank is interest rates. And the Fed recently signaled that they would definitely be raising rates, potentially even 50 basis points. Now, we were talking the other day, you had an interesting opinion on rates and how they impact choices. I'd love it if you'd share that with us.
Yeah, so I think we were talking about kind of cost benefit analysis of how we operate, both from an economic perspective, and I think it very much ties into the banking perspective. And my opinion was such that for the longest time, we had rates that were near zero from the Fed funds rate. So that means rates were right around prime for borrowing, or even lower than that during the pandemic. And that people didn't really have to pause and think about taking out a loan. Even bankers, most of the time numbers would work on anything that people wanted to take a loan out on. And now we're kind of topping out on the different side of the rate cycle, and people are having to think long and hard, and in some cases walk away from deals because rates are so high. And I think my hope and what I was sharing with you is that, as we look to the future and rates, peak and then start moderating, leveling out, and perhaps near term, long term, whatever, start going back down, that they don't have to go down to the bottom to start spurring that same level of economic growth, that we can find more of a normalized line that when customers come in and want a loan, or somebody wants to buy a house, whatever it may be, they're weighing their options. What is better for me, to take out a loan and invest in this asset or purchase this asset? Or should I be in more of a savings mode because I'm at a bank that I can make a little bit of my money, or I can get a loan and it's not super high, it's not super low. So I don't know. I'm sure that's shared with a lot of people in the banking industry, but I want to find more of that Goldilocks zone than necessarily having to be at the bottom to spur economic growth. I think what we're seeing, even with Silicon Valley Bank, concerns in the market right now, it's that we had easy money for a long time, and it's done a lot of great things, but it's healthy. And I think in any environment, in any economic environment, to be able to have choice and weigh those things out.
And I love that economics is the study of choice. So something near and dear to my heart. So,
Right.
So finally, and it might be talking to people wanting to withdraw their money today, but what changes do you see for yourself in banking in our community in the near future?
Yeah, so I love that question. People ask me that a lot, coming to a new market. So I think first and foremost, my mandate being here is hopefully bringing a level of relevancy to Alpine Bank in the Colorado Springs community, and being able to differentiate who we are, how we operate from a lot of other great banks in this community, to be quite honest. But I want to be here to grow our brand and to share our story with this community, and at the end of the day, be a successful operation down here. I think that's what occupies me day to day, but certainly on days like today, and you think about the banking industry over the last few years, like we're at a nexus of a lot of events and things going on right now, from what does the Fed do every single day, or when they meet on that bi-monthly basis, are rates going up, are they going down? You have inflation impacting the communities that you're in, both on a micro and macro level. And then it's also about how do we find ways to continue to support our communities. So I think there's a lot of challenges that are out there, and certainly this year will probably be a very challenging year for the banking industry, but it's what I signed up for, and it's certainly what I absolutely love about my job on the day-to-day basis, is to be able to approach those challenges and meet them head on.
Thank you so much, Matt. This has been our weekly economic snapshot. Matt, thanks again for joining us. And as always, if you have any ideas, please send them our way. Thank you.